Welcome to the European Association for Higher Education Advancement's YouTube and podcast channel. Today we're diving into something that I think we can all relate to. That feeling when you start a new job. That mix of excitement and nerves. That feels a lot like the first day of school, right? Oh, the EEEA, the European Association for Higher Education Advancement, has some really insightful observations about this. In a blog post titled, 4 Ways a New Job Will Feel Like the First Day of School.
It might seem surprising to get career advice from an organization focused on higher education, but that's what makes this so clever. They're tapping into a shared experience we all have to make their points about starting a new job really hit home.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. The first parallel the EAEA draws is finding your way. They start by talking about that feeling of being completely lost in a new school, wandering the halls aimlessly, and that totally translates to the workplace. Think about your first day at a new job, trying to find the conference room, figuring out the office layout, maybe even having an awkward desk mix-up.
Exactly. And it's not just about the physical space. It's also about feeling lost in the new processes, the unwritten rules, the company culture. It's that anxiety of the unknown and that urge we have to find our footing quickly, just like we needed to find our classroom and locker on the first day of school.
Right. It's almost as if we're hardwired to crave that sense of structure and familiarity. The good news is, the EAEA reminds us, that just like in school, it gets easier. You learn the ropes. You figure out who to ask for help. And before you know it, you're navigating the workplace with confidence.
And speaking of asking for help, that's a key takeaway here. Instead of struggling silently or trying to figure everything out on your own, think back to those school days. You wouldn't have hesitated to ask for directions if you were lost, right? Well, the same applies at work.
Okay, on to the next parallel. Feeling graded. This one hit me hard. The EAEA talks about that self-consciousness, of feeling constantly observed and evaluated, as if every task is a test, and your boss is the teacher with the red pen.
This is linked to something called the performance zone. We enter in new environments. We become hyper-aware of our actions, worrying about mistakes, and eager to impress. It's like giving a presentation in school, feeling the weight of the teacher's gaze, and the importance of the grade. But remember, just like with finding your way, this too shall pass. As you gain competence and confidence, that constant feeling of being scrutinized will fade.
Glad to hear that. Speaking of feeling scrutinized, the next parallel takes us to the dreaded lunchtime experience.
Yeah.
The school cafeteria,
Yeah.
the awkwardness of finding a seat,
Yeah.
and figuring out who to eat with.
Yeah. The EAHEA cleverly connects this to the office break room, suggesting it can be a similar anxiety-inducing experience. And it makes sense if you think about it. It taps into that very human need for belonging and connection. We worry about being the odd one out, about being rejected. And those fears can get magnified in new social situations, like starting a new job.
Definitely. You walk into the break room, see all these unfamiliar faces, and wonder, who do I sit with? What are we going to talk about? Am I going to accidentally spill coffee on the CEO? It can be a lot, but the EAHEA also offers some reassurance here.
Office dynamics are usually more mature than the social hierarchies you might have encountered in school. Most colleagues are welcoming and open to new connections. And even if you don't immediately find your work, BFF, a simple smile and some polite conversation can go a long way.
That's such a relief to hear. And honestly, even if those first few lunches feel a little awkward, it's just a small part of the workday. The bigger picture is focusing on doing your job well and building those professional relationships over time.
Exactly. And speaking of professional relationships, that brings us to the final parallel the EAHEA draws, which is a powerful one. Summoned by authority, they compare being called to the principal's office in school to having a meeting with your boss or a senior executive at work.
Oh man, just hearing those words, summoned by authority, gives me chills. Remember that pit in your stomach feeling of walking into the principal's office, wondering what you did wrong, facing the unknown consequences? The EAE suggests that similar feelings can resurface when we're called into a meeting with higher-ups at work.
Right. It's about the power dynamics at play, the inherent authority we perceive in certain roles. Think back to that feeling in the principal's office, the weight of their presence. It's understandable that those same feelings can be triggered when you're meeting with your boss, especially in a new job where you're still finding your bearings. But here's a key takeaway. In most cases, these meetings are intended to be supportive, not punitive.
That is a really helpful reframe. I think so many of us, myself included, tend to assume the worst in those situations. Like, oh no, what'd I mess up now?
It's a natural response, but often unfounded. Your manager likely wants to check in on you, see how you're settling in, offer guidance, maybe answer any questions you have. Think of it as a chance to build a mentoring relationship, not a disciplinary session. They want you to succeed in your new role because that benefits the entire team.
That makes a lot of sense. So next time I get that email for a meeting with my boss, I'm going to try and channel that positive mindset. See it as a chance to learn and grow, not a trip to the principal's office. So we've covered the 4 parallels: finding your way, feeling rated, lunchtime anxieties, and summoned by authority. It's incredible how these seemingly simple comparisons to school can shed so much light on the anxieties of starting a new job.
What's particularly insightful is that the EHEA doesn't dismiss these anxieties as childish or unprofessional. Instead, they normalize them as part of the human experience of transition. We're wired to feel a bit uneasy when stepping into unfamiliar territory, and that's okay. It's not about pretending we're not feeling those feelings, but understanding why we feel them and learning how to manage them.
I love that. It's not about denying those first-day jitters. It's about recognizing them, maybe even laughing at them a little, and realizing we all go through this. And the EAGA has given us some great tools to do just that.
Indeed. By connecting these experiences back to our shared memories of school, they've given us a framework for navigating those anxieties in a more productive way.
So, if starting a new job really is like the first day of school, what lessons can we take from our school days into our work lives? What wisdom would we share with our younger selves heading into that first big job?
That's a fantastic question. Perhaps it's remembering to ask for help when we need it, knowing that everyone feels a bit awkward at first, and recognizing that authority figures are often there to support us, not just to reprimand us.
Or maybe it's as simple as remembering to pack a good lunch and comfortable shoes. Those long school days taught us a thing or two about being prepared.
Absolutely. The key is to reflect on those early experiences and see what nuggets of wisdom we can carry with us into our professional lives.
I love that idea of looking back at our school days for guidance in our work lives. It's like we're all carrying around these little survival guides from our childhood, full of tips and tricks for navigating new situations and handling tricky social dynamics.
Exactly. And this deep dive, inspired by the EAEA's insights, has hopefully helped us unlock some of that wisdom for you.
It definitely has for me. It's given us a fresh perspective on those new job jitters and some practical strategies for managing them. It's actually made me feel a lot less alone in those feelings, knowing that it's a universal experience, something that even experts in higher education are writing about, is strangely comforting.
That's the power of shared experiences, isn't it? It creates a sense of connection and normalizes what might otherwise feel isolating.
Absolutely. So, to anyone out there who's about to embark on a new job, or maybe you're feeling those first-day jitters in your current role, remember this: you're not alone, and you've got more experience handling new environments than you might realize. Just think back to those school days. What helped you get through those first-day nerves? What lessons did you learn about making new friends, finding your way around, dealing with those in charge?
Those same skills and lessons can be incredibly valuable in the workplace. And if you're ever feeling lost or uncertain, don't be afraid to ask for help. Think of it as raising your hand in class.
Exactly. There's no shame in asking for directions, both literally and figuratively. Who knows? You might even find that your colleagues are just as nervous as you are.
Indeed. A little vulnerability can be a powerful tool for building connections and trust.
This has been such an insightful deep dive, and I want to thank the EEHEA for sparking this conversation. Their blog post, 4 Ways a New Job Will Feel Like the First Day of School, is a must-read for anyone navigating a career transition. You can find it on their website, along with a wealth of other resources on higher education and professional development.
And don't forget, the EAATA is a leading voice in quality assurance and accreditation, so you can trust that their insights are backed by research and expertise.
Absolutely. So head over to the EEHEA website, check out their blog, and be sure to share your own first-day stories and lessons learned. We'd love to hear from you.
And please, don't forget to follow the European Association for Higher Education Advancement on YouTube and social media.